So if all of that is true, there is still a question. This has to be about drugs. If it, or, booze, drugs, whatever it is. Because if they're not shot and they're not stabbed and they're all dead, it just strains common sense to believe they could have wound up in this predicament if it wasn't done to them without drugs. It is the elephant in the room. What is the position of your client?
As I told you last night, Chris, I'm not in a position to comment on that at this time for a variety of reasons, not just on behalf of Jordan. And when and if the toxicology report comes out and when we get it, I'd certainly be happy to comment on it at that time.
I hate to stop it so quick. He said, when and if the toxicology, there's no if. If I'm not mistaken, there's no if a toxicology comes out.
It's coming out.
There's no if.
I'm not going to speculate about the activity and the behavior of other people who were not in the presence of my client at some point in time that evening or early morning hours.
And look, we both understand the dilemma, okay? If the tox comes out and they had whatever it is in it that makes this a more understandable situation, he's now going to be chasing his responsibility as opposed to being in front of it and owning what happened that night. And one of those is a much more satisfying thing in terms of credibility. You're aware that that is the dilemma here.
No, I don't see it that way. And, he has an attorney and I'm representing his best interest. And he did nothing wrong. And that's what we're saying. That's what we're maintaining. And that's what we're going to say, no matter what comes back in that autopsy report.
Right. Well, something's going to come back. And I will give you a platform at that time and we'll discuss it because things just never don't make sense. Eventually, it will make sense and responsibility will lie where it does and we'll take it to its logical conclusion. John Picerno, thank you very much for being with us again. Yes,
I would like to address those the phone calls and the text messages if I could, since the reporter left that hanging out there.
Go ahead, because the initial
he was wrapping it up and he was getting off, and the lawyer came on there and said, "Hold on. I wanna." So obviously the lawyer feels like he has more to clear up. And I think it's because of what he said to the news in the past. There's stories that keep on shifting. And it's looking weird. The lawyer, to me, looks unexperienced to me.
Yeah, he's trying to clear up some things that he said in the past, and who knows?
The phone calls that came in on the early morning hour after the game on the 7th and the early morning hours of the 8th, all the way to the 8th, and then all the way to the 9th when the police came. The only calls that came in were one from his dad, which we recognize the number, and you have the actual numbers. Mm-hmm. And then the other calls, there were 8 of them that came in from what is a dummy number. He has a robo-killer app on his phone. And so when calls come in that are unrecognized or for whatever reason, they read as this dummy number. I've dialed this dummy number myself. It's a non-existent number. You get a message saying whatever. It's a dummy number. And then the only other call that came in was all zeros, a call that he blocked again from a robocop.
What about
the text messages?
Yeah.
Robotext. Yeah. As far as the text messages go, which you have, there are a series of incoming text messages. That's all we have. There are no outgoing text messages. So the corollary to that, what goes along with what makes sense to that is when you and I get a text message, typically we're going to respond. If somebody texts you and says, hey, these 3 guys are missing, and they're your friend, you're going to respond. If Alex had said, if someone had said to him, the text message came in, why don't you respond? You would respond to your friend, right? That's what you would do.
Maybe.
If you have no wrongful doings in the situation, maybe. I'm glad he said that, CUOMO.
Porter wanted to twist my words when I said he didn't receive any messages. And technically I'm right. His phone received the messages. If you don't look at it, you did not receive the messages. I guess I should have said he didn't read the messages. And yes, as far as the text message from his friend, he did not tell me about that. He told me that's right. So there's 2 text messages, or excuse me, a Facebook message and a text message. And neither one he got before the police arrived at his home.
All right.
But the phone records that you have are consistent with him. If you look at them, the calls were early in the morning.
Yeah,
and
we
then
have
his
them.
dad called at noon and he picked up. He didn't pick up any in the morning. He didn't pick up any in the evening when he would have been sleeping. There were no other phone calls. And the text messages, the same way. There's no outgoing text messages those 2 days.
Right.
Which, as you know, who can stay off their phone for 2 days straight unless you're principally sleeping it out of it and you don't have your phone around you? So everything is consistent with what he's saying.
So in this whole situation, his client didn't inform him about this and that. And once he did inform me, then it's just a lot of like.
Neither one of them can be trusted. Of course, his job is to defend this guy and make sure he stays out of trouble. As the client, you have to tell this man everything. Right. Now you got him on news looking like a goddamn idiot or a liar.
Exactly.
You can't do that. And he's up here trying to make this story fit the best way he can to keep this man from out of jail. Which the truth don't need no help. That toxicology report will come out and the truth is gonna come out with it.
So hypothetically, what if say the toxicology comes out and nothing is in it besides alcohol and marijuana?
That's not gonna happen. I've never seen alcohol and marijuana make a person go outside and freeze to death. Nope.
Right.
Other drugs that will make you comatose will do that. And there's several that will do that. And that takes me back to the 𝐂𝐤𝐜𝐞𝐫 Jenkins case. Going back to what he said, he was asleep the whole 2 days. Remember, one of the victim's wife came to the house, knocked at the door, no answer. She had to break in through the basement. Still, he didn't get up.
Right.
He got up when the police knocked at the door. Why did he wake up then and this lady had to break a glass to get in your house, bro? Or whatever she did, it made a lot of noise. Pretty sure more than what the police did by just knocking at the door. I call cap.
We shall see. I'm kind of in agreement with you that there's no way that it's just gonna be some weed and alcohol or some regular shit in his system.
Ain't shit regular these days, bro.
And see, the thing is, even like if you say fentanyl, like people who overdose on fentanyl, they fall to the ground. Like it's some body spasms and things I think that could take place. Like you're not just gonna sit there and, well, maybe you could, because if you have an arrest of your vitals, then maybe you would just be in one place. But I don't know. I never heard like were they on the ground? The way it sounded is like they was just sitting in the chair frozen.
The woman who came in found one on the step, the back step, stoop.
Right, that was right.
And then the other one was just in the yard. So the question that we should be asking is, why were they in the backyard, period? You in Kansas City, it's cold as hell outside. That dude was woke when them dudes did whatever they did and ended up in that backyard. But I know one thing, he knew what happened to him.
So when it comes to this fifth friend, what's going on with that?
The fifth friend was there. Before he left, everybody was woke, everybody was alive. They were watching Jeopardy. I believe the first story that Jordan Willis said was he walked them to the door. And then now the story has changed because the fifth friend came out and he stated he was asleep. So the fifth friend is very key in this situation, because if you're going by the time frame of what time he left, now what Jordan Willis is saying that he was asleep, that's a goddamn lie. You wasn't asleep, bro. Something happened, and I ain't gonna say you are the cause of it, but the way you lying, bro, you look real suspect.
I agree. It's something ain't right in that water, that toxicology, that autopsy, and that's one thing. I think that's one of the last things I want to touch on is going back to the beginning of it, when the bodies first came in to the coroner or whatnot. If there was any gunshot wounds, knife stabbing wounds, the coroner, aren't they obligated to tell police if they see that off top? Because you don't need 3 weeks to see if there's a gunshot wound. You don't need 3 weeks to see if someone's neck is slit.
If there is any physical evidence, investigators, law enforcement, the ones who was at the scene missed, the coroner would have said, hey, come on in here. I need y'all to come check this out. Y'all ain't see this stab wound right here in his neck? Y'all didn't see this gunshot right here in his side? They'd have been brought that up. Of course, they still would have did the toxicology report. Right. But the fact that they did the toxicology report tells you there was no physical evidence on their body. Because if there's gunshot wounds, what am I doing a toxicology report for when y'all trying to find out how they died? Here it is right here. Whatever happened to those guys, it happened internally. Was it done on purpose, or did Mr. Willis have something to do with it?
Mr. Willis.
We gonna see.
Oh, we gonna see. And we gonna talk about it.
Let me get this straight. I made this bed that I'm gonna lay in. Then I got to thinking. Decisions made during self-examination, like say, fam, you made that bed, you gotta lay